Hey, what's up, guys? We're back in the Apex for UFC Fight Night. Aljamain Sterling versus Yusuf Zalal. I'm breaking down every single fight on the card, starting off the night with Talita Alencar versus Julia Polastri. So I got Julia to get the victory. I do think it's a very, very close fight. So I'm gonna get down to why I'm choosing Julia first. I just think her stand-up is a lot better. Now, Talita does have world-class jiu-jitsu, and Julia does get taken down a lot. However, Talita, you know, she's getting takedowns on people's mistake, which is what you want to see. But I don't see her initiating her own offense to like truly get takedowns like out in the open. Like her wrestling just not there. She is very tough, but I don't like her being super short and, you know, not having the head movement. And I just, you know, it is a close fight because I do see a world where Talita can take down Julia off of a kick, off of a, you know, clinch position maybe. But I think the problem is Julia will be pressing forward, and if Talita's on her back foot, her shooting is just not very good. I'll just have to be honest. Her jiu-jitsu is good once it hits the ground. She has good top control, but she just can't shoot out in the open. She's just not a strong wrestler. She got way stronger jiu-jitsu. So that's why I'm choosing Julia to get the win, but it is a close fight. Next, we got Max Griffin versus Victor Valenzuela. So I got Max Griffin to get the victory. So this fight is a compelling one because we got a UFC vet, but he's 40, versus a guy who lost on the Contender Series and he's back, you know, in his first fight in UFC. So it is kind of interesting. Victor, he's very powerful. He likes to load up and throw his power shots, and he likes being in the pocket. Now, Max Griffin, his style is a good style to beat somebody like that because Valenzuela is going to go forward. He's going to try to track Max down. Now, can he track down Max? He should be able to. However, Max will get in these pocket exchanges and then circle off. And if you get too close to Max, then he's going to make it a clinch. So just because you track him down does not mean you're clear from like a clinch or a takedown attempt. Because Max is going to fight on the outside. He is going to get into that pocket. When it's on the pocket and he can't move any longer, he will clinch you or take you down. So that's something Victor got to be cautious of. You know, it's his first fight in UFC, so it's tricky. He could be a great, and he could have won against a great guy on a Contender Series and lost. Realistically, though, I gotta take in my face value. Like, I gotta go with the guy who's shown that he can get out of bad positions, like against the fence, shown that he got good footwork against Victor, who's, you know, Victor does chase down his opponents, but they're not at Max Griffin level, so I gotta go Max in that fight. Next, we got Jafel Filho versus Cody Durden. I got Filho to get the victory. I don't think this is it shouldn't be too close of a fight. Cody Durden does have a little bit better stand-up, but he's just not durable at this age, and he's a little bit wild. You know, he has good wrestling on paper. Have we seen that good wrestling in a while? We've seen him take people down and lose the position. So maybe he got good takedowns on initial entry, but he's not holding position. And his fight IQ isn't where I would like to see it if I want to choose him. So I got Filho to get the victory. His stand-up is okay, but his bread and butter is grappling. His jiu-jitsu is good. He does have good takedowns. He can take the back at any moment, which is dangerous. He's a jiu-jitsu guy, and I think he'll be able to show it in this fight. Now we got Mayra Bueno Silva versus Montague. Now we got Mayra Bueno Silva versus Montague. So I got Michelle to get the victory. Now, Mayra Bueno Silva is well worth the note. She used to be a title contender. Something happened and she popped, and she's not the same fighter. On paper, you know, Mayra, she's not a bad fighter on paper. But you know, her last 5 performances, so this hasn't looked super impressive, to be honest. She's been on the bottom a lot. She does have good jiu-jitsu, but you know, what is that if you're not going to do anything with it? So Michelle's a dominant wrestler, and she has very good pressure. She gets to fight to where she needs it, and she's good at controlling. You know, Mayra, she like I said, she used to be really good. It kind of sucked to see her fall off, but you know, if you accept the bottom position in MMA, you're not super good. Even if you're good off your back, you want to get on top. So it's just not a good recipe. It's not a good recipe to get a victory against another strong grappler who's good at wrestling. It's not a good recipe. So that's why I got Michelle Montague to get the victory. Now we got Sedriques Dumas versus Jackson McVey. So I'm gonna take a risk and I'm gonna go Sedriques Dumas. Now this fight is a fight I had no clue was gonna happen. The best thing I can tell you is you gotta look at yourself and wonder, do you trust Jackson? Do you trust Sedriques? You can't trust Sedriques because of his out of the cage things, that he does not take fights serious in my opinion. But he has shown glimpses of winning the UFC. That's something that you have to be aware of when you're choosing this fight. Now Jackson, he didn't have the easiest, he had a very bad matchup. Bruno Ferreira he's a hard debut. Then he had a chance against Zach Reese. He looked good against Zach Reese in the clinch. He hurt Zach Reese like a Muay Thai fight, knees and elbows in the clinch. However, I don't think he did anything that Sedriques Dumas can't capitalize on. What I mean is, you're going to stand up and get in the clinch on Sedriques Dumas. I think Sedriques Dumas will make that a grappling fight where he's going to try to wrestle. Now, it's Sedriques Dumas we're talking about. So, you really can't trust him. And Jackson just doesn't have the wins in the UFC that you would like to see. And unfortunately, the guy with the higher, the guy that showed the highest skill was Sedriques. And that's something that we got to be aware of. And, and Jackson can win, but this is an evenly matched fight. One guy coming from kind of winning the UFC, but not the best. And one guy's coming from winning regionally, but now losing the UFC. So I'm guessing Sedriques the edge, but it is a very close fight. Now we got Rodolfo Vieira versus Eric McConico. So for this fight, it's interesting. I got Rodolfo to get the victory. It's an interesting fight because I do think Eric is a real threat. He's a threat to hurt Rodolfo Vieira, but Rodolfo isn't historically he hasn't gotten knocked out a bunch, but it is concerning because he's older and he got knocked out against Nickal. Nickal has a lot of potential though, so it's not a huge deal, but you got knocked out your last fight. Are we going to get 3-4 knockouts in a row and that was your first one? We don't know. We have to see on Saturday. Now, on paper, Vieira should be able to take him down and control the fight with his world-class jiu-jitsu. He has done that to lesser tier fighters. Eric, he has gotten a victory against Cody Brundage. I thought it was a robbery though, but I thought Brundage won, but he gotten that one victory. But Cody, Cody is Cody is not what he once was. Cody is a company guy, very tough fighter, but I would like to say that we can agree he's out of his prime, but that doesn't mean he's not a good fighter. He just, he's in a different part of his career. Now, Eric is an older guy, came from regional scene. He didn't look too impressive in the UFC. Not to say he can't beat Rodolfo Vieira, but it is with the grappling credentials, if Rodolfo can get the fight to the ground, I do think he can win pretty comfortably. Now, is that going to happen? That's why we got the fight, because Eric does have the power to knock him out. We got to see if Rodolfo's chin hold up or if it doesn't. It's going to be an interesting fight, but I got Rodolfo to get the victory. Now we got Marcus Buchecha versus Ryan Spann. My mind been telling me Ryan Spann. That's why I've been going with Ryan Spann for since the fight was announced. It's very, very, there's a lot of tricky matchmaking on this card, and this is another one. It's because Marcus Buchecha, on paper, he should take down and submit Ryan Spann. However, we seen him against Kennedy Nzechukwu, and we just hadn't seen him do that at a high level. I went to draw. Kennedy lost himself to fight. Then he lost in his first fight. Okay, he lost to a guy who had a winning UFC record. The problem with Buchecha is if he can't get, he gets desperate on his takedowns, and he telegraphs his takedowns. And if you just take a step back or just sprawl back or just get an underhook, which Ryan Spann does do, He does try to go for underhooks. He can get the victory. Ryan Spann can. The problem with Ryan Spann is he loves that guillotine. If you get a really good guy like Marcus Buchecha is in jiu-jitsu and try to guillotine him, you can get in a bad position to be on the bottom. And if he's on the bottom, will he be able to get up? That's something we need to see. On the feet, I think it's Ryan Spann all the way because of his power. He got way better boxing. Marcus Buchecha is not a threat to hurt somebody on the feet. Ryan Spann is a threat in this fight to hurt somebody. Hurt Buchecha. He has the power. He has the accuracy. You know, the fight IQ is kind of like the big thing. We got to see what Ryan Spann wants to show up. Buchecha honestly don't got the best fight IQ either. He showed against Kennedy, he didn't, and he lost position on top a lot, which is kind of, you know, you think these guys who world-class jiu-jitsu is going to hold position, but that's not always the case, and we've seen that, so gonna be a close fight. I got Ryan Spann. And we got Montel Jackson versus Barcelos. So I got Montel to get the victory. Now, disclaimer, he's one of my favorite bantamweights. So I am gonna have a hard time picking against him. I thought he beat Figgy's last fight. But, you know, this fight is interesting because if he beats Figgy, then this fight is like, why is he not fighting ranked? But he didn't beat Figgy. So he got Barcelos, who's very, very tough. So with Barcelos, you know, he's really, really gritty. He got great pressure, great punch tempo, good, you know, he got really good low kicks when he throw them. He got good jabs, and he ends every exchange with a punch. So he's going to be the last one punching. If it's an exchange between him and another fighter, he's going to be the last puncher, so that scores points. And his tempo over time really, like, you know, it really breaks a lot of people. With Montel Jackson, if Montel Jackson is fighting at his full capacity, he's going to be the taller and got a longer reach, and he got a real good 1-2 down the pipe. We've seen that when he knocked out Damon Blackshear. He can defend a takedown. We've seen him when he fought Daniel Marcos. And I do want to say, Barcelos does mix in takedowns well. So if Montel can stop the takedown and it's on the feet, you know, still a tough fight because Barcelos got that tempo. And Montel Jackson has low tempo. Now, the reason why I'm choosing him, I just think it's more upside with choosing the guy who's more explosive and has the fight ending potential. Like, we've seen Barcelos, even on this win streak, he's gotten hit and he had to bounce back. If Montel Jackson touches you, then it's very hard. And I don't know if he can really get Montel Jackson down all 3 rounds. It was even hard to figure to do. Montel Jackson does get back up, but he's very patient, so that's kind of concerning. Now, up the middle, I think that's where Montel Jackson was striving when it comes to knees or punches up the middle. I think when Barcelos coming in, if he's trying to out-jab Montel Jackson, I think Montel Jackson get the tempo because the jab, I think the jab will control the fight. If Montel Jackson's jab get going first, and it's going to be a long night for Barcelos. But if Barcelos, you know, if he loses that first round and Montel Jackson doesn't come out that second, third and be ready, it could be a long night for Montel Jackson. It's a very close fight. I'm personally going Montel Jackson, but, you know, it's anybody's fight, to be honest. Like most of these fights on the card. Next, we got Davey Grant versus Adrian Luna Martinetti. So I have Davey Grant to get the victory. Now, this is a good fight. I'm kind of weird about the matchmaking. I don't understand this because Martinetti, you know, he won on the Contender Series. He beat Mark Voligan. However, I think Mark should be at 125. He's a 5'3", 135er. Davey Grant is not that. Davey Grant actually is a hard fight for your first fight in UFC. So we're going to see what Adrian is made of. Now, Adrian, he had the best fight on Contender Series, went back and forth, got fight of the night, and then got a little bonus. He got really good tempo. You know, he's not fighting a 5'3" guy, and he was getting hit a lot. I don't like to see that against Davey Grant because Davey Grant, he's very precise. He maintains distance well, and he looks to crash. He crashes in with those overhands. He throws a lot of kicks. Davey Grant got good pressure. He's not 5'3", more importantly. He got very good timing on his overhand, so that's something Adrian has to watch out for. Now, with the matchmaking, these are the fights that the matchmaking does confuse me. We got a 40-year-old veteran. You know, Adrian's not young, I'll be honest. He's 30, about to be 31, but this is his first fight in the UFC. He's fighting Davey Grant, of all people. Like, that's a hard first fight. But if he wins, then, you know, he's He could be certainly a guy just outside the rankings. Maybe not 135 just outside the rankings, but he's on the top half of the 135ers and he could work his way up. But it's a hard fight. If Davey Grant wins, then, you know, people be like, why did Davey Grant fight this guy? You know, he's a debutant. Davey Grant fought a lot of veterans and did good, so I gotta go Davey Grant. Next, we got Rafa Garcia versus Alexander Hernandez. So I got Alexander Hernandez to get the victory. You know, Garcia, he got an awkward style, I'll be honest. Seen notes on that. You know, I was watching his fights, commentary was saying that. I agree. He's very boxing heavy. He's built like a fridge, which isn't a bad thing. Some fighters got huge bodies. But he's boxing heavy with pressure, good occasional low kicks. But I don't like the pace he fights at. He fights at a slower pace. And to me, his footwork is pretty basic. So if Alexander Hernandez is a guy that likes to fight on the back foot, and if he fights on the back foot against Garcia, and Garcia can't track him down and close that distance effectively, because I'm not gonna lie, when Rafa Garcia, when he's closing that distance, you kind of see it coming. Even if you can't see it coming, then boy, I don't know what to tell you. But Alexander Hernandez, he's on the winning streak, moves very well on the edge of the cage. What really helps him a lot is when the person closes the distance, he has the power to like send them back. So that does really help him a lot. And I do want to say, Rafa Garcia is not a knockout guy. He beat Jared Gordon after he got hit by a car. So it's going to be interesting to see where he's really at, because, you know, he's coming off a little win. I don't want to say a free win, but his opponent got hit by a car. So it's going to be interesting where he's at. And Alexander Hernandez does have the wrestling. That's something to keep note of. He's faster. I think he got just more tools, especially with the wrestling. So that's why I got him to get the victory. Now we got Norma Dumas versus Jocelyn Edwards. This is my favorite fight of the night. We got Norma Dumas on the big win streak and Jocelyn Edwards on the win streak, but she's been finishing women. So I got Jocelyn to get the victory. This, you know, I don't know why this is the co-main. This is a great prelim fight, early prelim at that, just ended early. But I'm having a hard time wanting to pick Norma. At first I thought she lost her last fight, but I'm having a hard time picking her because I don't like this whole, she's fighting as if she's a counter fighter with crazy knockout power. She's knocked out, well, let me see how many girls, she's knocked out no girls in her career, but she got her chin up and she's looking to counter, which is cool if you can get knockout, but I don't know if you can't. Now, it's a close fight. I'm not saying Jocelyn Edwards is a lock, not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, it's kind of concerning. Now, the grappling department is going to be the concern. Norma was on the ground a lot, and she don't get up when she's on the ground. She just accepts the bottom. I don't like that. Now, Jocelyn Edwards, you know, she's in a clinch a lot. And she mixes in her takedown. So if she can get a takedown early, then she can get the victory. That's not guaranteed, though. Because Norma Dumas does have grappling. It's just, I just don't, like, it's just once you get her on the, like, she got a clinch game, but once you get on the ground, then it's, you know, she's on the ground, she's not going nowhere. Norma Dumas looking to stick and move, and I am concerned that Norma Dumas is going to stand on the outside, stick and move, and Jocelyn Edwards won't track her down effectively and put hands on her, and Norma Dumas can just leg kick her. I just think Jocelyn Edwards will get into a clinch, and I think if she get into a clinch and make it dirty, I think Jocelyn Edwards got a chance. She's on a finishing streak, so that's always you want to see. It's always good to see from women. But, I mean, I don't know what else to say. This is an interesting fight, but I got Jocelyn Edwards to get the victory. Now we got Aljamain Sterling versus Yusuf Zalal in the UFC Fight Night main event. I got Zalal to get the victory. You know, Aljo, he's the one, the all-time great at 135. Doing really good at 145. You know, when it comes to Aljo, I think him having that grappling edge on most of his opponents serves him very well. He didn't have that against Brian Ortega, not to the degree that he had against his other opponents. And I think when he showed his boxing, it just really stirred me away from him. Like, his boxing against Ortega, it just wasn't the best. Ortega was touching him at moments. Now, Zalal isn't the best he's not the best boxer, but he does score points and play the fight well. He's going to be moving a lot. Aljo's kind of stationary, hunker down. Zalal's going to be more agile and moving. I think he can score more points on the feet. In a grappling exchange, I do think Zalal can hold his own. I don't think he's going to be that much better than Aljo everywhere. I think it's going to be a very even fight. Aljo's better on the ground. I think Zalal's better on the feet. I do think Aljo might have a big advantage with that 5-round experience, but I think Zalal will be ready for 5 rounds. Now, interesting thing is, if it hits the ground, hits the mat, what's going to happen? I do think Aljo being a specialist at the back control can win him around. I just don't see Zalal getting pinned down for multiple rounds and losing a bunch of rounds. And Aljo has to track him down and take him down, which he can. He has the ability to do, but at 145, how many of them, you know, he had a good fight against Mavzar. It was a scramble, but I think, you know, Zalal got a lot more striking than Mavzar. Mavzar is really good with the third of a takedown. Zalal can move around and keep a broomstick distance. That's what makes him good, because he's going to score points the whole time. So that's why I got Zalal in this fight. It's an interesting fight. Let me see who the favorite is. Zalal is a slight favorite, so, you know, he's a lot younger. Doesn't mean he's going to win. It's a close fight, but those are my full UFC Fight Night picks. Let me know what you think in the comments. Like, comment, subscribe, and we're out.